Great. Welcome back. Senate Economic Development on the 19th of February, 2025. Pretty exciting. We have just been at a roundtable on another piece of economic development. Wednesdays, we're focusing on economic development, and we were prepping for what will come our way, which is the cannabis bill, which is starting in the House. Today, right now, we're going to pivot to one of the backbones of Vermont's traditional economy, which is our state fairs. And we're going to hear the impact and their asks. And to tee it off, we welcome back Jackie. Jackie, and do you know everyone on the committee now?
I do.
You do. You've gotten to know everybody. Okay, great. Then take it away.
All right.
But actually, everybody behind you hasn't met us.
That's true.
Let's just quickly go around.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Chittenden. I represent the southeast area of Chittenden County.
Keisha Ram Hinsdale, who represents that same district with Tom. I'm Allison Clarkson. I represent the Windsor district.
Randy Brock, Franklin County and Northern Grand Isle County.
Good morning, Dave Weeks. I represent the Vermont State Fairgrounds and Rutland County.
Jackie, it's on that happy note.
On that note,
cheerleading.
we will continue. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. For the record, my name is Jackie Folsom, and I am the lobbyist for the Vermont Agricultural Fairs Association. Very proud to be here today on behalf of all the fairs. We do have a group here that will be talking about some of the fairs. I just wanted to set things up by saying that the economic impact information that you just received is based on the funds that we send into the state, that we spend within the state, mostly done by volunteers, and all done on less than a $410,000 investment by the state of Vermont. The fairs receive a stipend of $110,000 from the Agency of Agriculture, and that is what we call the turning on the lights money. It's for premiums, it's for paying vendors to come in, it's for a little bit of marketing before the fairs start. The $300,000 are capital grants that we receive through the institutions committees. And you will hear a variety of ways in which those are used by these fairs. And those are incredibly important because they are all working on 5 to 10 year plans on how to invest in their facilities. And they're also going to be telling you what other things they do on their fairgrounds, as well as how old they are. So you can get the real impact of how many years they have been helping put funds into the economy. Chair Clarkson said, what is your ask? And honestly, we were coming in to thank you for what we have been given. But I will tell you that the grants program is reintroduced every 2 years. So this year, I believe they're looking at the grants and the institutions committees, and we would like to ask for $450,000 instead of the $300,000 to continue with the investments.
So just to be clear, that ask is in the institutions committee, not in commerce or economic development.
Correct, but all of you vote on that in the budget at the end. I'm not sure if the stipends come through the agriculture Agency of Agriculture, so I'm not sure if that is something that
Is that in the governor's ask?
Yes.
That's in the governor's bill.
Yes. So right now
We can advocate for it.
Great. Well, then I will say.
So we can advocate, but we're not going to include it in our bill.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But and the stipend is $110,000. It has been up to $200,000 in the past. And anything extra that the fairs receive from the state, all goes back into the community, as you will hear. So I'd like to move from me talking to letting you hear from the fairs. And I'd like to start with Tim Shea from Champlain Valley. Sorry.
Great. Just before we move to Tim.
Yes.
The 300 institutions, the 110 stipend governor's budget,
yes.
Ag Agency of Ag. So the additional amount that you're asking for, the additional $40,000, right?
The addition, so it would be, so the stipend.
Where is that?
That is in the governor's budget.
So he has added.
He has not added anything. Right now it's status quo. It's at $110,000 as far as we know.
Okay.
So
David.
When you're done. Okay. So I believe one of the roles of the committees is to look at potential negative policy impacts or positive policy impacts. And I'm wondering if in the testimony, you're going to touch on the 3-acre impervious rule.
We can. I don't know if we have the time to do that with you today. If we get done soon enough, I can I can speak to that as far as.
Because we're going to be talking about it on Friday as we hear about a homeowner issue. It's not actually our jurisdiction. Stormwater is Senate natural, but it is something for us to be aware of as an economic development issue. So, and I think it's a development concern.
I would be glad to zoom in on Friday if that's possible, if you'd like to hear about the fairs. We have 4 fairs.
I think let's deal with it if we can, or just hear how that
Yes.
issue is, because I know it's an.
What I would simply like to know is, and they don't have to go into it in depth, at each site, we have most of the sites covered. If that's an issue that they're wrestling with, and if they have an approximate cost for mitigation, that would be very useful.
Right.
Let me just add one thing,
Yeah.
that there's one absence this year, as is noted on this, and that's the loss of Franklin County Fair. That still is being worked on in terms of land acquisition. The issue, by and large, in case the members of the committee are aware, is that Franklin County Fair is located on the airport. And the airport has some restrictions in terms of the FAA
Right.
use and the length of time. That's caused pressure that effectively with that, and the agency of transportation has forced the fair to move. And the issue is finding the location. That there is a site that's being looked at right now, and it is not unlikely. It is very, very possible that that site will be found. AOT is being very helpful in that regard. And if that happens, it's likely that we'll come with hands out to various committees of the legislature to help facilitate the funds necessary to make that happen. Moving a fair is not easy.
And that fair still has $83,000 in capital grants that are sitting there at the Agency of Agriculture, waiting for that land purchase. So,
Okay, right. No, that would be, this is terrific. Thank you. Tim.
Thank you. Tim Shea, Champlain Valley Exposition, 102 years old and 33 acres of impervious surface. Estimated cost to mitigate is $600,000. I want to say thank you. I know there's a lot of demands on state resources, and what I'm always encouraged by the monies we received. And I know all the fairs do as well. It's matched with local dollars. As an example, last year our grant was $33,000, and we replaced the building, the roof on the Blue Room Pavilion. Anyone at Senator Mazza's celebration of life last year, that building there, an $80,000 new roof. And that's just a small example of the infrastructure improvements we've done over the years. Electrical, that more and more requirements had to meet certain standards on electrical. We all have aging infrastructure, and we go up well over $100,000 around electrical infrastructure over the past several years, and we'll continue to do so. But we could not do that without state resources. We're all familiar with the fair, but sometimes fairgrounds are forgotten and not seen with the good they do in the community. During COVID, we were a surge hospital, vaccine clinic, a number of other
Inaugural balls.
But also we host the Vermont State Police are there a dozen times a year training, and we don't charge for any of that. Burlington Police is there, Essex Police, the Essex Fire Department. When they get new hoses, there's very few places in town where you can run hoses all across town and test and train. And again, all that is provided at no charge. And I know the other fairgrounds provide similar service. So I know you're tight on time. I just want to say thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Right, thank you. So the 3-acre rule for you has an impact of $600,000.
We believe we submitted our plan to A&R. It's not yet been approved, and we're going back and forth. If they can come back and say we're not capturing enough stormwater, then we would need to go deeper. It's overwhelming. We all want clean lakes and streams, but the finance is just it's incredible for a small nonprofit organization.
So I hate to ask the obvious, but are you going to institutions to ask for an additional
And there was, I should say, there's money appropriated. Jack can speak to it better than I.
The legislature last year voted $2 million in ARPA funds to the 4 fairs that are affected. And the money has not been given out yet. We've just gotten permission. And right now it looks like 3 of the fairs, Addison, Orleans, and Champlain Valley, we'll be getting about $500,000 of that to help with the costs. The challenge is Rutland Fair. We have a
Yeah, it's a Rutland, Champlain.
Addison.
and Orleans. Those are the four fairs. So there is $2 million sitting over there, and I believe there's been an email going out that has gone out to the four fairs that say, if you are shovel ready, you've got your permits, you can start. The challenge for the fairs is that it is on reimbursement, not on here's the money. And so they will have to come up with the money or possibly take out a loan to start the construction before they're able to get reimbursed by the state.
Oh, we have you. I definitely would love to hear more about stormwater and how we can help and all that. But another topic that's come up that I think is very germane to maybe all the fairs, but specifically Champlain Valley. I'm really worried that we are a event venue desert up in this neck of the woods. We used to have Memorial Auditorium in Burlington, Vermont. I go to lots of concerts there growing up. It's been forlorn for the past 10 years. Now I'm driving to Boston and Montpelier. I hear about the Tarrant Center. I really hope the university builds it. But does the Champlain Valley Fairgrounds have any plans to update that bandstand for more internal inside concerts?
Not necessarily inside, but we have been working with the city of Essex to do some upgrades on the grandstand. It's built in 1966, terribly dated. It works well for the 10 days of the fair, but if you want an experience, it's pretty rough on the inside. Again, without getting into the weeds, we have sound waivers that have concerts with the city of Essex. We have applied for more sound waivers because you have to amortize the expense over a number of shows. The city came back and wanted $500,000 on an annual basis in exchange for more sound waivers, and the math just doesn't work. So we're kind of going back to the drawing board, but we would love to be able to use that the grandstand more often. Because when we do host concerts in the summer, labor is driving some of the events, so make it so difficult setting up, tearing down, setting up.
Right.
So what we'd like to do is have a more permanent stage there to be able to do more shows on a daily basis.
And it's not indoor, and that's an outdoor.
Correct.
event.
Yes.
Right, so it's subject to weather and subject to season.
Would an indoor facility cause less sound issues?
It would. Again, I wouldn't mind of time with them. It's the economics of building
Right.
a structure like that.
So, and each fairground is owned separately, right? The state, or does the state own your?
No. We're a private
That's what I
501c3.
thought. You're all private.
They're all
501c3s.
private.
Yeah, we need to remember that. Tim, thank you. This is great and good to know the four fairs that have the issue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chris?
Chris Vance, Caledonia County Fair. Again, I would echo what David said. Again, thank you for the grant money that we're given. We fortunately are not part of the 3-acre rule. They'll get to us in 2035.
Yes.
So that will be something that, we will obviously take a very serious look at, for fairs like us, something like that would probably put us out of business.
Well, hopefully by 2035, we'll have fixed.
That's kind of where my head is at too. So I'm
10 years. to go.
Are we shipping to a half acre?
No.
No, I'm serious.
No, you're-
It's not 2030.
You're on the other watershed, though, right?
Yes,
Ethan, yeah.
correct.
yes, that's in the Connecticut River Valley watershed.
Half acre, 3 acres, shipping to a half acre. That's shocking to me.
Okay, we will find this. We'll
Yeah,
find this
please.
out. Yeah. Chris, it's yours.
So,
Laura,
but again, just, to speak to the grant, we've taken advantage, obviously, of basically completely redoing our fair. If you've never been to Caledonia County Fair, I would welcome you. Some of the things that we talked about is the use of the fairgrounds. This year, Caledonia County had significant flooding. So we actually allowed there's an outfit, Team Rubicon, that is made up of a large volunteer group, and they had no place to host to basically all of the volunteers. They had 60, 80 volunteers that needed to be housed and fed. They didn't have a facility to kind of base out of to go out into the various communities that were affected by flooding. And so they asked if they could use our facility. We provided that at no charge. They actually, we had second flooding in our area, so they came back a second time and we housed them again as part of our commitment to the community. The other thing that we did this year is that our opening day was dedicated to the flood relief victims of Caledonia County, and we donated 100% of the gate proceeds to flood relief in our community.
And what was that?
How much?
Yeah.
$25,000.
That was great.
So that got donated back to a local community group that gave 100% of that funding to families that got affected by the flooding, and we had significant flooding. We have had the ability to, as I said, upgrade a lot of our infrastructure at the fairgrounds in hopes to be able to attract, more events and more users to the fairgrounds. And, what, as I was showing before, what once upon a time was $50,000 to redo a building is now, over $100,000. So, but again, we continue to do, very well with making our fairgrounds continue to be viable in our community. And we're getting a lot of, benefit from that. So that's all I have. Our fair is 182 years old. I've been there the whole time.
Representative Lawrence was.
Yes, Dick Lawrence was there.
Yeah,
most of the
Dick
time.
had been there from the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yes.
Well, I think Billings Farm was also pretty old fairground. I mean, sadly, we don't have it anymore, but it was, I would love to know its date on the scheme,
that
the
was a
history of
fairground?
state fairs.
Oh,
Who has all that?
Tunbridge bought barns from that.
Yes, they
So
did.
Took them apart.
Wow. And moved them.
Our horse racing barns.
Yeah, but we were a state fair before anybody else. I
I
believe
did not know that.
Nancy knows that.
I'm
Well-
Cindy Cahart from Addison County Fair. And our fair on the existing grounds has been there for 64 years. And before that, it moved from different farms to different farms, and it was on, we were just talking about, it used to be the UVM sheep farm.
Huh.
But our permanent site is this old. We appreciate the grant money. We have a 5-year plan and have 2 more buildings to replace, so we don't have to rent tents. Renting big tents is a huge expense and hard to find. And last year on the Sunday before our fair opened and on the Friday of our fair, we had bad windstorms that took down and destroyed 3 of the tents that we owned. So we're looking to just eliminate the big tent thing. That being said, this year's building will be what we refer to as the antique house. It's going to be a post and beam house with a wraparound porch and store memorabilia from the fair. And on the wraparound porch, there'll be like spinning wool and exhibits all around there. And then we have a show building, a 3-sided show building where we have bands and stuff that'll be in the future. I will address the 3-acre rule. We were very proactive when we first got the notification that we needed to do it. And we got an engineer, I believe it's 3 years old now, our plan. And come to find out, it was a snapshot in time. Since then, we've built a barn and we have these other 2 buildings that we plan to build, which the engineers told us we have to reapply and get permits to include those, which is, and then none of the refund money from the state will cover any of that. And it's just been a big mess. They designed a treatment for us that'll be a $500,000 treatment facility, which is going to take up quite a bit of room at the fair. We met with, it was myself, and I'm a dairy farmer, and some board members. One is a lawyer, one is a financial guy. We had our grounds guy, and we had one of our board members that does excavation, and we had the engineer just last Saturday morning. And I said to him, I said, with all our knowledge from all these fields, we need to come up with something practical. It just doesn't seem like we need to have a $500,000 water treatment that takes up room on our fair. So we talked about it, and lo and behold, there's a 300-foot ditch on our fairgrounds. And the director said, well, why couldn't we make something there and collect it all? And the engineer said, probably you could. So we've spent all this money, and I was infuriated. I was like, are you kidding me? We've spent $40,000 in it. So right now we are gonna try and rework what the engineering plans, and that'll all be our expense, but,
Right.
As
long as A&R's on board with that, that's a
Right.
great.
I mean-
Solution. Thomas, because we only have 10.
I loved your quote. It's stormwater's a big mess in Vermont. It really
Yeah.
is. I have constituents, residential homeowners that are in tears over
Right.
what's being asked of them. And they're getting letters saying that the liens from the DEC, they will put liens on their homes. They will not be able to sell their house because they're out of compliance with some arbitrary deadline that seems to be
Right.
worth revisiting. Are you getting similar letters from the A&R department about the time that you need to address this by?
No,
Okay.
well, we have a 5-year time period when it has to be completed, and then we got this gracious gift from the state for $500,000, but I just don't feel like we've come up with the right solution yet. I just feel like there's got to be a better way.
I think to your point, Senator Chittenden, that they know the 4 fairs that are involved in this are working between DEC and the Agency of Ag, so that might
Right.
be why they're not
Right.
getting a letter yet.
Right.
But the glitch that we discovered in Addison's case is that it's a capacity issue, that basically they're saying that there is no more economic development going on these sites unless you get another treatment plant
Right.
in there, which is
Right.
ridiculous.
Right.
Thanks.
So
That's-
thank
this
you.
is
Thank
helpful
you
to
for
bring up.
listening.
A
Thank you. thank you.
problem clearly stated is a problem half solved. Let's hope.
There you go.
Scott?
Scott.
Scott G. I'm from the Bonneville Fair down in the southern part of the state. Our fair this year will be the 228th year.
228.
Yeah, we are the oldest continuous fair in the state. We're only a 3-day fair, so we're very small. We have 9 acres. We don't fall under the 3-acre rule. Thank God, because my brethren here, it seems to be a mess. But I can tell you that in the past, we have a 5-year plan as well. Ours has been electricity. We were severely outdated. We have spent this will be our 4th year with this grant. We'll have spent over $200,000 in just electrical upgrading, safety, new power in. We do the same thing on our fairgrounds. In the summertime, we have a free concert series that we hold. It's no cost, it's free admission. And the reason we did it was because we bring in these people to come watch a free fair, but then they visit the local stores. They're putting money into the local stores that are there to bring food and drink, snacks or whatever to the fairgrounds. And this has been a real partnership with the town that we're trying to bring in something to give back to them besides our fair, which is very short-lived. But without the money that you guys vote on, both the grant and the stipends, I can honestly say my fair would shut down. We could not afford to keep up with the mandates for codes and the infrastructure and everything else without it. And we just really appreciate and we have great gratitude towards you for voting every year to support the fairs, all the fairs in Vermont.
We love our fairs. They're an incredibly important piece of our connected economy.
They are, and it goes beyond what you actually think too, just quickly, is that you heard, talk about drawing communities together, and most all of our fairs are volunteer driven. Mine is volunteer driven. We meet twice a month. Usually the first meeting is just arguing and chewing and we don't really do anything, but the second one, we drill down to some business.
We do that here too.
It seems to be everywhere, but what it does do is that you all of a sudden you bring in all these people and they're all volunteers, and then all of a sudden you start making a community. In my community, it's important. I'm right at the base of Stratton Mountain. We are a tourist destination, and to be able to draw in by community to become volunteers for this fair. Helps to build
Oh,
the
absolutely.
relationships. So once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott.
It's a pleasure and thank you for taking the time to meet with all of us.
It's great to have you. Thank you for coming from the South. Rick and then Nancy. Sadly, our time is.
I know, thank you, Pam.
Rick McCreary, Vermont State Fair, and thank you, Senator, for the bringing us into this 3 acre rule, which is unfortunately for us, it's a do or die. Our estimated cost of just the engineering is $250,000, and roughly now the
250, you said?
and roughly now the rest of it, they're not even pinning it down. Because in 2 ways, what it's gonna do is, if we can treat, then it's gonna compromise so much of our grounds that it's gonna cut back on how much area we have to even still have our fair. That estimated cost is they're throwing numbers at us, 5 to 7 million.
But you're constrained. I mean, you're constrained because the city's all around you. It's.
Right, but one of our biggest problems is because
5 to 7 million or
one of our,
I thought you said 250.
for engineering.
Oh, but 5 to 7 million to just construct. Aren't
If
you on water and sewer there?
this is rainwater.
yeah, this is strictly
Yeah,
on.
this is not city water.
And the biggest problem with it is we're actually on a compromised brook, which makes us have to treat 100% as well as capture 100%, and that's what makes the whole system so huge.
I've got it. Okay. Yeah, Tom.
So I want to preface this question. I'm not advocating for it, but it almost seems like it might not be feasible if this stormwater rule doesn't change for the fair to continue in its current location.
Absolutely.
So you might be forced with selling that land to be maybe sitting vacant and barren, and maybe looking for cheaper land out in the countryside. So that's probably one of the outcomes that will happen if we don't address this 3 acre.
Yeah, absolutely.
The challenge is that they don't, if they don't hold a fair, the heirs take it back. And
Yeah.
now they're between 150 and 300 that someone would have to find and say, fix this, or tear down all the buildings and you still have a hole in the.
So this is owned by a family.
It's
It was originally started by
And when was that? So how many years old are you? Because you know,
179.
79.
170. It was a group of people that wanted to have a fair start, and it's actually the Rutland County Agricultural Society. And they donated this piece of property with the stipulations that once a year on the grounds, we have to have an agricultural event. Now, it was skipped one year, I think in 1943 during the war, and in 2020 during COVID, we had a cattle show. So we covered ourselves there, but if it doesn't continue, then we have to, it reverts back to those, like I said, it's like Jack said, 300.
I just would want this program to be realistic of these economic realities and instead find a reasonable amount for you to pay into a system that could then target those dollars, a reasonable amount, not this unfeasible amount, to then address our water quality issues where it could be done. So I think stormwater needs more attention, and I welcome more conversation on it in here because we're driving fairs out of business. And people,
It's not just fair.
their homes.
I've got 700 properties in Rutland town and city alone that are affected.
Right, and we're gonna hear from a homeownership association about it.
I just-
I'm in a neighborhood that.
It's affected in a neighborhood. So
It is
thank you,
affected
Rick.
a lot.
Anything else you wanted to share with us?
And if I could, just quick, thank you again on the stipend money and the grant money, and our major projects that we've done lately are, we put a 6-inch water line on the south side of our fairgrounds, added a fire hydrant, and all of that stuff wouldn't have been able to be done if we hadn't
Right.
had the grant society. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've got 1 minute.
Nancy, end up with,
Nancy Howe from Tunbridge, we are not affected by the 3 acre rule at this time. However, if you're familiar with the Tunbridge Fairgrounds, you know that the river runs on 2 sides of us. So, you know, 2035 will be.
and through the
interesting
parking lot,
place.
often.
But yes, we are very grateful for the money we got from the state of Vermont. We're doing a 3-year electrical project for the whole interior area of the fairgrounds. We got that upgraded. We started this not long after COVID. It took 13 months to get the transformer panels. And there were 3 of them staggered.
How old are you?
We are 150 3 years old. We only count the fairs we actually have. The first fair was held in 1867. So that's our story. Our town of less than 1,100 people. We get, last year's paid attendance was in excess of 32.5. So that really drives our economy. We are some volunteers. We do have a paid payroll for about 200 people. And our local fire departments and EMTs and all of that are paid for the work they do right there as well.
And our largest attendance is Champlain,
Yes.
and that is over 100,000. Right.
But we thank you and.
Well, thank you. This is great. And Rick, what's your time frame on your stormwater?
We're the same as everybody else. We're at the same, what
2
we're,
years left.
I just wanted to
5 years.
share that the reason why the Rutland or the Vermont State Fair is such a poster child for this
Oh.
is because they jumped on it right away.
Right.
And,
with us.
and they became an economic, they became kind of a focal point for the whole economic impact. Whereas we've actually been trying to educate the entire county on the impact of the law. These guys just happen to have jumped on board like right away.
Thank you. And this is great. This is,
yeah, I mean, we all want to clean up the water if we can, but there's so much that's going to make a huge difference in whether it's doable or not. There has to be some discussion.
thank you. This is terrific. And this conversation is going to be continued.
Great.
Some in this committee and some in our Senate Natural Resources. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What was the fourth?
The fourth is, Madison, Champlain, Orleans.
Orleans, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very
Thank
much.
you for listening.
Appreciate the time.
Nancy, more to follow. Good to see you.
And if you would like to connect with me about Friday morning, I mean, Robert Condon or.
I think we're fine.
Okay.
You're welcome to listen to it and
I will.
hear. But I think we need to be in conversation with Ann Watson and Senate,
Perfect.
Nassau.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Did you
you.
have a second thing or is this it?
No, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. All right. Kelly, welcome. Come have a sit. All right.
You're welcome.
Did Davis get there? They are on.
Yes.
No, it's great. Randy. Yeah, great. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, Kelly, welcome back. You have,
Thank you.
you have well teed up the outdoor recreation industry as one of our economic development partners and one that we, an industry that's growing and flourishing. And we're now here as we take up our economic development bill, which we're in the process of putting together. And I know you have an ask, and I know you have something that you'd like to have considered in our bill. So if you'd be kind of take it
Yes.
away.
I am going to do my best to screen share. But you all have a copy in front of you, so if that doesn't work like last time.
And
And
All right, that's the thing that wasn't.
this is what we have right here.
Yeah.
We make it full screen. We just log.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
And we can also just function from this.
Yes, that I will try one more thing and then I will.
Because it's helpful for the people online if you have.
I know. Let's I will try to share again. Just share the desktop. There, we might have it. See if it's going to load. Okay, great. It's just a little delayed, but it is moving. Great, thank you. Well, thank you all for having me, Chair Clarkson, members of the committee. I appreciate being invited back to talk to you about Vermont's $3.1 billion outdoor economy. It is both driving our economic and social impact in all of our urban and rural communities. We appreciate the opportunity to share the work that as our statewide nonprofit organization is doing to spur business and workforce development within this highly diversified sector, which is largely composed of small businesses in manufacturing, retail, outdoor centers, trail building, lodging, media, guiding, and many more that provide products and services to Vermonters and visitors. WOBA's core work fosters entrepreneurship, career pathways, and branding for the success of Vermont's employers and employees. This in turn enables their contributions to vibrant downtowns and villages, quality natural and recreational resources, and equitable access for all in workplaces and outdoor spaces. WOBA's organizing of 200 businesses in Move Forward Together Vermont planning process, which was administered by the Vermont Outdoor Recreation Economic Collaborative, or VORAC, last year shaped a 5-year state economic agenda with many partners centered in climate resiliency, equity, innovation, and sustainability and career pathways. This process, which built upon outcomes from WOBA's grant-funded business and workforce programs over the last 18 months, demonstrated the potential for significant economic and social gain. Therefore, WOBA's legislative ask is a state investment in $500,000 fiscal year 26 for outdoor business development and outdoor workforce development. A $250,000 investment to support WOBA's climate and circularity outdoor business program, which provides sustainability and innovation technical assistance for business planning and adaptations leading to stability in the face of climate change. It also supports a shift to a circular economy and increased responsiveness to consumer behavior and outdoor vegetation trends. Secondly, a $250,000 investment would support WOBA's climate and trades outdoor workforce program. This provides employer-led professional development training in sustainability and technical occupations that are tailored for career advancement of Vermont employees currently working here in the state, and also to attract new and diverse employees to the sector. I'll dive down into each of these programs tied to WOBA's policy agenda, but really briefly, I'll flash up several bullets in our policy agenda, including what has been identified by our sector in terms of needs for flood recovery funding, as well as entrepreneur and innovation development. WOBA's investment ask stemmed from program learning in fiscal year 24 and 25. We have administered an entrepreneur support program that's delivered technical assistance to 40 startup and early stage outdoor gear, apparel, and accessory manufacturers located in Vermont outdoor communities. We've expanded the service provider network to 30 business advisors, trade and marketing consultants, financial planners, and lenders with outdoor expertise. The activities of this technical assistance have included small group workshops and one-to-one consultations in the area of business strategy, financing, and pitch development, of which 5 companies competed in the first annual Outdoor Pitch Fest last November at our Outdoor Economy Summit. Organizing participation at regional trade shows and the annual Vermont Gearmakers Festival has provided new market access for many early stage companies, expanding customers and strengthening the storytelling of the Vermont brand rooted in place and people.
Just before you leave this slide, how many entrepreneurs pitched to you? How many were
We selected 5 who were.
But out of how many?
Oh, we had 12 apply.
12 competed in a pitch.
Yes, and then we had 5. We selected 5 to give the pitch, and 2 were winners of top prizes, and 1 was given an equity award.
Right.
So circling back to the fiscal year 26 funding ask, funding for WOBA would allow the expansion of this one-on-one and group technical assistance to serve 80 Vermont small companies. And the way we would organize and target this support is to focus on commercial clusters in rural and economic regions that are near recreation opportunities to really invest in a startup network. Assistance would provide business strategies, I've mentioned, and it would really focus on climate adaptations and shifts to the circular economy, where a lot of companies are trying to figure out how they can reuse, reuse and recycle products that are already in circulation. It would support market access, product development, new technology, and efficiency operations, especially in the area of reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Outcomes would allow these companies to demonstrate an ROI and also provide the benefits that the state also values around climate resiliency, sustainability, local production, new technology, and stewardship. Moving on to the other area of the VOBA policy agenda. This just goes back to several of the priorities that have been identified by the outdoor sector, including the need for professional development programs and the marketing of career pathways. VOBA's investment ask this session stems from our program learning, again, in fiscal year 24 and 25. In the spring and fall of last year, VOBA organized technical trainings in collaboration with 13 retailers and trail builder businesses. We trained 30 professionals as instructed by 18 technical experts. This spring, our collaboration has grown and we anticipate training 64 professionals as instructed by 25 technical experts, again, coming from our employer community. A snapshot of our programs included both entry-level and advanced trainings designed to expand the knowledge of current employees, those seeking employment in Vermont, and also trying to support those underrepresented in our occupations. Key to designing these programs was the combination of hands-on learning and classroom instruction, because these are very technical, skill-building types of jobs in Vermont. The same format was a success for ski and snowboard technicians, and we held our first session last fall and built the curriculum working with ski shops and ski manufacturers. 100% of those participated reported that the content added value to their professional knowledge and was a value in the work environment, and 100% that they would also seek another training from VOBA in the future. Key to marketing all these trainings and facilitating the job placement, VOBA is working on launching an online career portal this spring with information for job seekers and employers, including openings, trainings, education, and career resources. And this is an opportunity for us to really celebrate some of the partnerships and systems that we've brought together across the state of those that are pipeline for the future workers in the outdoor sector and those providing resources to those that are working in the sector. Making these jobs real will be the inclusion of 10 spotlights. We are putting videos of professionals in mechanics, manufacturing, and construction to show these technical skills and to help have real Vermonters describe what a day of life is like for them and to really make their job exciting to others who are considered entering the outdoor sector. This is also a place where we plan to deepen our connection with education and the education system. Over the last 2 years, we have been developing these relationships with our secondary and post-secondary education institutions, our career and technical education centers, our nonprofit private sector providers that provide education and training and service learning. And with fiscal year 26, we really hope to merge some of the work that we've done driven by employers and the industry with institutionalizing that in these other sectors. So there's real synergy and forward instinct, and we're able to maximize and leverage the resources that are out there. So circling back to that fiscal year 26 ask, funding would enable the expansion of the seasonal professional development programs, and our goal would be to train 100 professionals in these high demand occupations. We would continue technical training, but we'd also expand the program to target skill building in the climate jobs arena, of which are essential to the industry's future and to be able to navigate some of the changes that we might anticipate, but are probably unavoidable to anticipate. We would focus on education on a range of skills. This could be best management practices for trail builders to new technology for engineers who are reducing emissions in their manufacturing. We know that outcomes could increase knowledge applied in the workplace. It would create a wider pipeline of professionals in these higher paying jobs and highly skilled jobs. as well as expand diversity and representation in outdoor professions by women, Black, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQ, and persons with disabilities. So in closing, the industry is strong despite years of pandemic and climate events because of this consistent public and private investment in our planning, in our partnerships, in our businesses, as well as the recreation and community infrastructure for which is the foundation of our livelihood. We know that climate strategy, entrepreneur and innovation, and skill building pays dividends, and we are excited to work with the state to support this sector that attracts diverse, young, active professionals that raise their families and also lead a healthy lifestyle. So thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about these programs.
That was a lot. I guess my first question, and I know people will have questions. My first question is the workforce development piece. I would encourage you to meet with Sabina Haskell, who's now the executive director of our new Office of Workforce Strategy and Development, because this year is a sort of transition year, but by next year, she will be funneling all the workforce development acts into and coordinating them all, that we don't have duplicative programs.
Right.
And so that is, so it's what we created this office for, to really be vet all our workforce development stuff. And that being said, on your technical assistance, all your assistance to entrepreneurs, and why is that not served currently through all our amazing resources for small business? Because one of the things we're going to be looking at as we look at our economic development bill is further supporting the resources that already exist.
Yeah.
So I guess my big question to you is, why are you not currently served by everything from the law school's legal center to the small business, Vermont Small Business Development Center? How are you not being served, and why do you need this?
Yes. I would say that we have engaged all of those partners, many partners, in a lot of the technical assistance that we provided, because we recognize that there are these resources that are available, that are very dialed, that are well resourced, and have high expertise. And so where we can, we will look to those organizations and bring them in and match them up with businesses that are seeking help. We found post-pandemic that there was a tremendous need to provide really tailored support to our industry, as others were doing to their industries, because there was just not enough technical assistance available to help those in need. And so following the pandemic, working with the Small Business Development Center, working with Vermont Color Network, working with the RDCs and others, we have been trying to identify what is uniquely outdoor, where could we bring in unique outdoor expertise, because some of those resources are more generic to all business, and there are definitely some nuances to our industry. Where can we bring those resources in to fill those gaps, and also just to serve the large number? This sector is growing. These businesses are, just 40 businesses in our manufacturing network alone, and just seeing local production and the maker culture in Vermont, seeing a renaissance, and being able to support retailers and guides and resorts. There is more work than I believe the technical assistance system can currently bear. So we're hoping to offer and augment what is there and provide the structure within VOBA. And part of our work is convening and organizing, listening to the needs, and then really being able to find those resources and navigate that. And in some cases, we're actually providing the workshops, we're providing the training, providing them.
You had described the Viking workshop up at Killington.
Yeah.
That was great.
So we have a lot of friends out there. We will continue to cultivate those partnerships. So we're all working in sync to recognize that, especially around the climate resiliency, there are going to be a lot of needs that we want to investigate, research, understand, and then be able to set up that support over time.
Right. Questions?
Okay, thank you, Board. So in kind of in reflection of the outdoor economy, I sense that we've under leveraged access into the forests, what have you, for tourism purposes, trails. Advocate that we need trails for each type of activity, whether it's horseback riding or snowmobiling or cross country or hiking. So what got my interest in your presentation was Vermont Trail Skills for Professional Trail Workers. And I'm wondering if,
What page you on?
well, there's. a
Oh,
number.
yeah, I see it. Got it.
So I'm curious, if that's focusing on like bike trails or hiking trails, or what are you kind of focusing? What's your specialty?
Yeah,
Yeah.
are you building trail? I just.
It's
focused
a
on that.
great question. Yes, it is. It is focused on building trail and maintaining trail because we do have tremendous world-class resources that are going to need maintenance over time. At the same time, we have investment infrastructure dollars that have built new trails. And so there is this demand for both building new trail and maintaining trail into the future.
And I would add turning trails that exist if there want to be multi-use into a multi-use with integrity for different uses.
Yes, that's key, and that's part of your question is thinking about multi-use trails. Some are built specifically for mountain biking or for hiking, others for equestrian use or for motorized use, and even those for adaptability. So we're really in an exciting time, the trail builder community, and I would really defer to the trail steward organizations for the work on the ground. However, as the business, as a business association, we do have a number of trail builder businesses and even those nonprofits that support paid staff in trail building. So there's this workforce need. And we have also partnered with Vermont State University in our first year in their establishing a sustainable trail builder certificate, the Linden campus. And they had a year program where they did classroom, and then they had 4 weeks of work study at Northwood Stewardship Center. And then they had a trail shift, which we tried to place some of their students in our businesses doing field work for the summer. And then in addition to that, we worked with these employers who had specific trail needs, trail skill onboarding needs for their trail crews. And a lot of that work in the last year has been around looking at water management, looking at hydrology, looking at building trails that can stand the test of time. And so these stewardship principles. So it's really an exciting time, but it's one that requires a lot of training and informing of those that are out working in the woods. So they're doing it well, they're doing it right, and it really is a business. They
So
are
is
professionals.
that certificate continuing?
It is. It was on pause.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was on pause because I heard it was on pause.
It was on pause. We are in conversations with them actually being able to restart again in the fall.
At BTC?
At BTC, at the Linden campus, and working in partnership.
At VSU
Yeah.
at Linden.
Yeah, and so we are trying to encourage this because this is an example of where we might have a very employer-based set of training, but we also want the system, the education system, to have this opportunity, and then we as employers can benefit from some of the work. So we're trying to work at several levels at the same time around the trail builder system.
Yeah, and we actually have quite a few professionals whose sole business is to consult on the creation of trails for different uses.
Yeah.
David.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up. So as a trail maintainer, volunteer for the Killington section of the Long Trail,
Yeah.
I can tell you that there's a whole market out there for non-professional trail workers. I
Right.
fully applaud that and support that, but there's a whole volunteer network out there that's taking care of the whole variety of trails. And if you ever wanted to expand into the to the volunteer work, there's a huge need for training out there as well. Typically, we only have like maybe one person really knows what the heck.
That's a good point. The Appalachian Trail volunteers are trained. At least my
Well, yes and
understanding.
no.
is.
So I maintain Appalachian Trail up and over Killington.
Right.
I'm not trained.
And you haven't been
Right.
trained.
No.
Right.
It's on
So
the job
who
training.
did you volunteer with? Well, we
Green
can chat about
Mountain.
this.
Yeah, Green Mountain
You
Club.
always struck me
Yeah.
as like an
No,
Eagle Scout.
Yeah. So I thought Green Mountain, my understanding was Green Mountain Club trained people for.
Well, yeah, they train you in that you volunteer to go, you go out on the field, out on the trail, and that's your training. And you take
Yeah.
your gear with you and, but there's really only typically one person in the group that really knows what they're doing. My point is,
Yeah.
it's a phenomenal opportunity. And it shouldn't just be for professional trail work. There's a huge group out there that's trying to maintain our
Very
state's.
true. We did meet with Green Mountain Club about their drill training needs. They did explain they have limited resources, so they try
Yeah.
to really target those trainings and especially those for the advanced skills when they have to use machinery or rock work. And there isn't enough training. And so we wanted to support because we want to support paid professionals and employers first, but our trainings are open to volunteers. And some of the chapters, like the Vermont Mountain Bike Association chapters, are hosting a training with us for their paid crews, but they're also inviting.
Okay, good.
chapters.
That's exactly it. Thank you.
You're right. We're designing this curriculum to be up to date and that it can really be open source and be used by the trainers and institutionalizing it so
And-
others can.
And
share the
market it. I
information.
think you need to market it to the obvious big trail maintainers, Appalachian Trail, Green Mountain Club, Long Trail, all the parks commissions, all of us have miles and miles of trails that we all have volunteers maintaining. And, so if you marketed that maybe more fully with rec departments and with park commissions, I bet you'd get a lot of takers.
Yes, and our career portal is just the way we can start to pile or resources, create things, and then work with our career navigators, work with our partners to share the information so people do get trained. I will add one other element on the trail building businesses is what has been exciting is to see people start trail building businesses because they have been a volunteer. They are excited about the projects happening in Vermont. They want to run their own business or have their own unique niche or a rock work or a specialty. However, starting a business is challenging. And a lot of these entrepreneurs like to work in the woods, they're really good, but when it comes to legal contracts or marketing themselves or figuring out budgets, it's challenging. And so some of the work is too. And the other point is that some of our legacy master builders are retiring. They've been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years. And so we actually need this next generation of businesses that are like running a for-profit enterprise. They're employing people year round. They're providing benefits. They're doing master projects. And so that's part of the work too. And that's where it dovetails. The business development dovetails with all of the climate and technical work that we've proposed.
Any other questions? So I, thank you. This is great. And, if people are, this is a piece of our bill that it's already there. I just need you to get some legislative language, either to me or to Rick Sagel, and I have asked him to reach out to you.
Great. Thank you. And what was that last part? You with who?
With Rick Sagel, who's our
Sorry.
economic development legislative council person.
Great. Thank you. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, this is great. And I just think it's important for us to appreciate what is duplicative with other asks and with other areas that we've invested in.
Mhm.
And on the workforce piece, we will probably be doing workforce after crossover.
Okay.
It's a huge piece of our, but we have a workforce vehicle to send back to the house. So we're going to be doing much more workforce, particularly as we're also trying to be thoughtful about the education, the work we're doing in education and governance and stuff, because there's a lot of CTE stuff involved in that. So we're going to be doing that after crossover, but the investment in resources, training, marketing, and that you have in technical support is great for this bill.
Great to hear. Thank you so much for the support.
Well, we'll see how it turns out. The appropriations committee asked for our wishes, so we're going to give them a wish.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Great.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Terrific. Thanks so much. I think we're going to go on break now.